coverage unit was there and ready. This is what we expected. This crowd ready to make its presence known. Quarterback making adjustments. Back to pass, it's Manning. Going to try to get it himself. And he has a solid gain on the play before sliding.
He does a good job of dropping back, going through his progressions. Nothing there. What do? Go get some yardage. Make it positive. Don't sit back in the pocket and force something into a bad situation or take a sack. Great job making something out of nothing.
This crowd bringing the energy and noise early. Here's the handoff. The Longhorns will keep this drive going.
All right, nothing flashy there. He just did what it took to get the first down.
Now on first down from the 30. They'll give it to him again. He's going to lose a yard on that one.
I think that might be an example of the running back maybe trying to do a little bit too much. Everybody wants to try to bounce the ball outside to hit the home run, but in college football at this level, you just need to do a better job taking what the defense gives you.
Second down, he'll throw it. Just a short pass to the tight end. And he's able to bounce off one tackle for a solid pickup.
Well, you hear all the time that the tight end's the QB's best friend. You saw a perfect example of it on that last play, right? Second down, you need to pick up some positive yards to keep this third down manageable. Really nice job of executing.
A veritable crimson tide of noise on Saban Field here on third down. Looking to throw for it. Throws to the tight end. Intercepted, and the first drive ends with a pick. And they'll close in on him after a good return on the interception.
Job number one for a defense is to create negative plays, to create turnovers. How about this? Opening drive of the football game, getting the big turnover, setting your offense up in great position, and building some mojo. This defense, that is a picture-perfect start.
This offense has it with really good field position. Dropping back, it's Simpson. Caught on the outside, it's Williams. And that defense is there to guide him out of bounds after a short gain.
Great timing there on that throw by the QB on the out route. Gets it to his guy just in time. He makes the catch, and his momentum takes him out of bounds.
To the air on second down. Nowhere close on that one as he got drilled trying to deliver the football, and now they face third down.
This offensive line's got to do a better job. I mean, he doesn't even have time to go through his progressions. You got to give your QB some time. You got to make him feel comfortable. They didn't. They got in there quick, fast, and in a hurry.
That pass is well off target. He got hit as he was trying to throw, and they can't convert on third down. It's 4th and 8 and never a hesitation. They'll go for it. He'll try to throw and pick up the first down. Big tight end makes the grab. It's a first down. The change will move, and they'll have 1st and 10 from inside the red zone at the 18.
Well, to heck with being conservative, right? I mean, that essentially would have just been a chip-shot field goal with where they were on that 4th down. But they decide to go for it, throw it. They're looking for 6. They're going for a touchdown. They are being aggressive.
Making sure they have good balance, keeping it on the ground. There he goes! The tackle is made, but he's got it 1st and goal from the 6.
First down, you know you always want to establish the running game. How about this offense? Nothing fancy. Run the football, be physical, get a big gain.
Alabama comes to the line with a 1st and goal. This is a design run. Stop behind the line, he'll lose a yard.
And that's why he is an All-American caliber player. He is just so physical and dominant against the run. He's able to shed blockers, use his athleticism, use his speed, get to the ball carrier and bring him down. Simply one of the best box defenders you're going to find in the entire country.
On the move. Stopped in the backfield, and that'll be a loss of 2. This defense was put in a difficult spot, but they've made it tough, and now the offense faces 3rd and goal. Wide receiver going in motion. Quarterback flips it ahead quickly to the receiver. He's trying to get it in. And after the tackle, that will bring us to the end of the 1st quarter. Timeout called here by the defense. It's the 1st one they've used this half. The offense will have to use its 1st timeout of the half.
Timeout, Alabama.
This should be the last play of the quarter. Linebackers trying to create some confusion. They're going to run it. And he takes it in for the score. Touchdown time.
And I love it. This offense making no bones about it. We're going to be aggressive. We get the ball down in the red zone, 4th and goal, Palmer. Stay aggressive. They run the football, and they get the touchdown.
And that's the shocking thing, David, is that on 4th down, they have supreme confidence in this offensive line to win up front, one-on-one, get some push, and then how about the ball carrier just finding his way into the end zone.
And the extra point was good as they finished the drive. Kickoff unit on the field, and this defense will be called on to protect this lead. On the move from inside his 5. He's out of bounds after the good pickup, and what a way to end the 1st period. So they'll go back to work after changing into the field. They'll try it over the left side. Into the pile, maybe got one. He stopped at the 21.
Run game is good. Balance is good. Now, listen, if the run game isn't good, then you got to pass the football a little bit more. But sometimes you got to keep them honest, take them chunk by chunk.
Picked up 2 yards on that last one. They need 8 on 2nd down. Dropping back, it's Manning. Fires to the tight end. He's brought down, but it'll be enough for a 1st down.
Yeah, and tight ends aren't just line up and block guys anymore. These guys are athletes. You line them up all over the field. And nowadays, you can start to feature them more and more in the passing game.
Looking downfield on 1st down. Trying to make magic with his feet. And the defense holds firm. No pickup at all on that play. They'll go to work in the air on 2nd down. And the completion to the sideline, a solid pickup, but not enough for the 1st down.
I love offenses and quarterbacks that are willing to take the easy step. Take those easy throws that are guaranteed to get positive yards. Yeah, I'm going to take big shots down the field too. But don't forget, it's easier to pick up 2nd and 5, 3rd and 5 than it is when we start getting those long yardage situations.
All the way down to the 27-yard line before they get him out of bounds, and this offense is threatening.
Man, if I'm a defense, I got to find a way to get some more pressure on the quarterback or disrupt their timing and their rhythm. I can't give them these big chunk plays through the air. I got to be maybe a little bit more aggressive.
Got some room, headed to the goal line, and he'll step into the end zone. Touchdown, Texas! Setting up for the extra point and the tie.
Man, these ball carriers, they've got a lot of ability in the open field. Their ability to make people miss, but also show off the speed. You saw all of that on that play.
They're getting set to kick it away, and that last score took a little oomph out of this crowd. No return coming. He'll call for the fair catch. Let's see if they can get something going here late in the half. Timeout called by the offense, and now they just have one remaining in the half. Some early movement along the offensive line, and they'll walk it back. So the decision has been made, and the coach will take the penalty.
Got it.
DBs will try to keep everything in front. Scanning the field, it's Simpson. Finds the tight end. No chance to run, but still a solid pickup on that one. Alabama pushing the tempo.
I'll tell you, I love the play call on first down here. You're just trying to find an easy completion, and the shortest throw on the field for the quarterback is finding your biggest target, and that's the tight end. Nice job.
Going to swing it on second down. He's going to fire deep. We'll take a quick break here. 2 minutes to play in the first half. Alabama with a lot of ground to cover here on 3rd and long.
Get set, get set. Ready, go.
Maybe some confusion on the snap count there. That's maybe what caused the false start. Either way, the offense is penalized. You make up the game plan and not a lot on the play sheet for this. 3rd and long from inside their own 20. He's looking downfield to throw. And they can't hook up on the big play, and that brings up a 4th down.
Well, after giving up that touchdown on the opening drive, they had a little bit of a come to Jesus with their defensive coordinator on the sideline. I don't know what he said, but he, I think, just invoke the fear of God into this defense, because this 3 and out has been sensational, dominant. This is the way they've got to play moving forward.
And the punt team gets down there and gets the return man on the ground. Plenty of time left in the half here as they take over, but they will want to be efficient here in the final 2 minutes. One back in the backfield, and they'll give it to him. And they're able to shove him to the turf as they stop him for a short gain.
The run game just has not been working for this offense all game long. We saw it on that last play as well. Just not getting enough push up front on the offensive line. They haven't been physical.
They feed him again. And he was fortunate not to lose yardage on that play, able to wedge it back to the line of scrimmage.
And there was no space, nowhere to go. That play went absolutely nowhere.
Sometimes you just need a dude to show up and make a play, and he did.
Sometimes you just need to block that dude, and they didn't.
Wants to adjust the pattern. To the air. It's Manning. Quick completion on the out. Still on his feet at the 45. And he gets a big chunk of yardage to the 34-yard line. We asked earlier this week, who's your favorite receiver? And, of course, he said the open one, but we know who he really wants to go to on third down.
The best one. I think the open one, obviously the politically correct answer, but you want to find the guy that you got that great chemistry with. You know exactly where he's going to be. You got that bond and that trust.
It's a running room. Now he's got it all the way down to the 21-yard line, and they are threatening on first down. Might as well give it to him again.
The big fella in the middle, man. Those defensive tackles, they go such a long way in deciding and really stopping the other team's run game. Just forcing contact with those guards and those centers, owning the line of scrimmage, and getting running backs on the ground.
Didn't get much on first down. It's 2nd and 9. Now adjusting. Got enough space. He'll be pushed out of bounds just short of the end zone, and that one saved a touchdown, at least for now.
It's really hard on a defense to drop back and know it's pass, and then a quarterback like that, he just has the ability to pull it down and just, bam, shoot through a hole, chew up yards so fast, outrun fast guys. It's just really hard to stop in today's football.
Trying to bull his way in. Touchdown, Longhorns! That's the way you finish a drive and put up points.
And the offense breaks the tie, takes the lead, gains some momentum. How big is this, Palmer, now going into the half with the lead, with the momentum?
Well, they break the tie, but they also break their confidence a little bit now. The opponent now has to go into the locker room probably down, and they're wondering, what adjustments do we have to make? What do we have to fix? Because we've got our work cut out for us in this game.
And it'll be a touchback. The ball will come out to the 25-yard line. So let's see how they play it in this final 30 seconds of the first half. Looking to throw, it's Simpson. And the Heat will get home, and the quarterback goes down at the 17. This will likely be the last play of the half. Back to throw, and they've got to be aware of the clock. Trying to beat the D deep. It's incomplete, and they tried to finish this quarter with a bang and couldn't quite connect. So that's going to do it here in the first half. Stay tuned for the halftime break. And the Longhorns will try to kick this one deep to get things underway in the second half. He'll bring it out. It's Adams. He only needs a sliver of daylight. He'll be stopped and forced out of bounds right around the 34-yard line, and now they've got a little something brewing. opening play of this drive comes from the 34. Motion from the wide receiver. On the move. And a pickup of 8 opens a world of opportunities on 2nd and 2.
QBs that can run completely change your game plan. I mean, every single bit of it. You have to understand, now as a pass rusher, I got to keep him in the pocket. I got to understand all the zone read concepts and the power read and the jet read, all the different things they can do to you. So, you know, having a guy back there at the helm that can run the football, you better be alert of it from the first play to the end of the fourth quarter.
The Crimson Tide a few inches away from converting on 3rd down.
42 Spider. 4-2 Spider.
He'll keep it on the sneak. All down, but they'll move the sticks as he picks up the 1st down. No need to get too cute there or overly creative. Just push the ball forward and get the 1st down.
I completely agree. I hate when people get creative. Just easy money, downhill, run the QB, get the 1st down.
The Tide with the 1st and 10.
Here we go.
The corners are walked up tight. Looking downfield, it's Simpson. Fires left. And that one falls incomplete, trying to get a chunk play on that one.
And I think that right there has been one of the biggest stories of this game so far. The reason this team trails is they can't get one of their best players the football in the passing game. This guy's a weapon. He eats defenses alive each and every week and has yet to make one catch in this game.
He'll try it again on 2nd and 10. Connection to the right. Oh, and the defense in chase mode, and they finally get him down at the 35. Alabama quickly back to the line. Alabama may always be built on the run, but these days they elevate with a high-flying pass game.
And great coaches evolve, and we've seen the evolution of this Alabama offense over the last several years, and it's not just run, it's not just eat clock, it is be aggressive, attack, make big plays down the field.
This offense hasn't been able to generate a lot of points in this one. Here in the 3rd quarter, you're seeing the defense and how much pride they take on being physical. It's not just stopping the run. Guys in the back end flying to the football in the air, getting hits on guys, that time on the receiver, knocking it loose.
Going up top again. Makes the catch. It's Williams. And he'll run across the sidelines after the good gain.
And listen, I'm going to move this guy everywhere. He's in the slot this time, but I'm not going to let the defense understand where he's lining up so they can double team him. Put him in the slot, put him out wide. Either way, find this guy early and often.
Alabama comes to the line on 3rd and short. Dropping back, it's Simpson. Got out of trouble, got rid of it. Grab near the marker, it's Horton. The change will move, and they'll have 1st and 10 from inside the red zone at the 18. Tune in to the Ocho, 8th play of the drive coming up. From the gun, running back on the move. That is a big win for this defense as they were right there as soon as he got the ball.
2nd down.
Back to pass on 2nd down. Nowhere close on that one as he got drilled trying to deliver the football, and now they face 3rd down.
and that pressure got to him quick. I mean, you talk about you want your quarterback to feel comfortable. Man, he didn't have time to feel comfortable. He didn't have time to get his feet set and get in the ground. This offensive line's got to do a better job.
Third and long, and he'll try to throw for it. And he will take it in. Touchdown, Alabama!
One of the reasons this offense is so exciting to watch, they've got guys that are dangerous after the catch. And if this quarterback gets through his progression, David, he hits you in stride, these guys will take it to the house.
Man, it's your job to do the rest, right? You hit me in stride where I don't have to stop running. I don't have to break down. It makes it so easy, the connection between quarterback, wide receiver. You can tell this is a good one, and that's why they got 6 on that play.
And they did make the extra point, and we have a tie ball game here in the third. And he takes this from inside the 5. Nice job by the kickoff team. Everybody stayed in their lanes, and they'll stop him at the 16. A lot of work to do as this drive will start from the 16-yard line. Looking downfield, it's Manning. Bringing the heat. Trying to make magic on the scramble. He makes it up to the 20-yard line before going out of bounds.
Nice job by the defense. You got to dial into your keys. You got to make sure you're reading those guys up front. They did a good job. They saw it. They pulled the trigger. They knew the quarterback had it. They weren't fooled. Strung it out. Did a nice job of limiting the damage with that QB run.
Creates a little room. He goes out of bounds after a solid gain on the play.
QB's got to be able to play on so many different levels. They got to read coverages, know the snap count, know what everybody's doing, and then does a great job at the end making something out of nothing, making a positive play, picking up a new set of downs, a new set of problems for this defense.
They'll test the right side. Pretty good job of running to get 2 there to the 32.
Man, it's really hard to control the running game if you don't control the line of scrimmage. And how about the defensive line doing a great job attacking those guys up front, not open up lanes to run through. Nice job just nullifying that run altogether.
Wants to fire on 2nd down. It's complete to the right. They get him down, and that'll be the final play of the 3rd period. With the break, they had a little extra time to dial something up for this 3rd down play. Quarterback adjusting the pattern. On 3rd and long, try to convert through the air. He's going to swing it into the heart of the field. Wide open, he makes the catch. Touchdown, Texas! They've got the lead here in the 4th.
Man, oh man, when you got a weapon like that, you got to find him and you got to give him the ball in space. You have some plays on your play sheet, and some of them just say, that guy, get him the ball, let him do the rest. Dangerous weapon out of the backfield, catching the football, making the big play.
The kickoff unit is out there, and boy, did that last drive quiet this crowd. Coming out with it, it's Hampton. That gamble did not pay off as they bring him down at the 12-yard line. Opening play of this drive comes from the 12-yard line. Back to pass, it's Simpson. Grabbed in the middle, it's Bernard. Not a whole lot of room there. 3 yards maybe, 2nd and 7.
You just get the feeling this defense is going to make it hard on them, right? They've got the lead, it's late, and they're going to try to tackle everybody inbounds. Offense is going to have to really work for this and be smart. You got to attack the sidelines. You got to throw first downs. You got to keep this thing moving vertically down the field.
Second down, they'll go to the air. Got it in the middle, it's Bernard. He'll be stopped at the 27, but picks up 10 on that one. Now on 1st and 10 from the 27.
And after that long completion for the first down, did you see everybody sprinting to the line of scrimmage offensively? They want to go tempo right now.
From the shotgun, the inside give. Defense fills those gaps. He's got one to the 28. Alabama pushing the tempo.
And after that run, getting right back up to the line of scrimmage to go hurry up, defense has to be ready.
Defense playing a bail technique. Back to pass. He's going for a big play downfield. Makes the grab down the right side. He's loose. Touchdown, Bama! Nice catch and good work afterwards to get it into the end zone. This is exactly what we expected. Blow for blow, trading punches just like two elite teams should.
Yep, and great players have to make great plays in big moments, right? Step up, break a tackle, do something spectacular, and that's what the young man just did.
And they are a mere extra point away from tying this game. The extra point is up and good, and we are tied up in the 4th. Quick work on that scoring drive, just 4 plays. And they close it in style with a 72-yard pass to the house. And there will be no return on this one as the ball bounds into the end zone. They'll put this one in play. First snap of the drive from the 25. Looking for a crease to the left. So runs like that can really help your field position as they're up at the 35.
Man, when I can run the football like that on first down and create second and inches and stay way ahead of the sticks and be in a position now where I can throw the football or run, I will have a lot of success on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah, you just feel like the running back's asking for redemption on that one. You know, second and short, and you're giving him the football. He can't get the first himself. Now it's third down. He's looking over on the sideline like, call it again, throw me the ball, I can go do this. It's never a good feeling for the running back in that situation.
Across the 50-yard line on the huge pickup, and he's out of bounds at the 45. The Longhorns will line it up on 1st and 10. The run to the left. We'll give him a couple on that one. 2nd and 8 coming up.
And this offense has got to get somewhere, right? That's a couple plays in a row. Like, the clock is their biggest enemy. So we got to find a way to manufacture, push the ball down the field, make something happen with that clock running out.
Skips away from pressure. He'll get rid of it. Complete to the right. They finally get him on the ground, but he's got an explosive play for the first down.
I love when QBs break the pocket and still look to attack. Because as soon as you break the pocket, I'm thinking, oh, man, he's going to take off and run, and I might come up. But those big plays can be made down the field. Nice job by the quarterback keeping his eyes down the field.
Not much working there. It'll be 2nd and 9.
And this is the only time as a coach I'm going and talking to a kid, okay? I'm picking his brain. Apparently he might like it on the left hash because they run the ball to the left. Like, where do you want it to kick this game winner. Like, we're sizing this thing up. A field goal wins it. I need to know what your tendency is.
Oh, they're after him. Pass rush, gets there, gets home, gets him down at the 23. They'll get the timeout with 5 seconds remaining to play. So now on comes the field goal unit. And he's lined up perfectly. He'll need to kick it right down the boulevard for the win. They'll get the timeout with 5 seconds remaining to play. Here comes the field goal unit as they'll try to get the 3. And the chance for victory is straight ahead. A field goal attempt from right down the middle. Absolute shank. Missed it. And in the final quarter of regulation, we remain tied.
Man, sometimes I just feel like 4th down, man. Just go for it every time. Like, the field goal miss, make rate. And listen, kickers have improved the last couple of years, but you left some points off the scoreboard there.
Someone not clear on the snap count. It'll be a false start, and they'll move it back. The officials offer the deal, and the coach accepts it. They will take the penalty.
On the double.
The DBs will back off a bit. The give to the back. And they're able to get him on the ground. We'll get it started here in overtime. To the air, it's Manning. Pressure coming. No more time to throw. Quarterback is sacked at the 35. And the Longhorns come to the line in the hurry-up.
And they got to protect their quarterback better up front. They got to give him a little bit more time to make some damage down the field.
Throws toward the end zone. Almost had the huge interception there. Man, what a change that would have been. Instead, we're looking at 3rd down. And now let's see if the offense can bail itself out after the 2nd down miss spot. Off the play fake. And the defense picks up a sack, getting the quarterback down at the 44.
And that is such a big play by the defense here. Early in the overtime, you come up with a massive negative play, getting a sack on 3rd down, and this is no gimme kick. If they miss this field goal, your offense is back on the field, and all you've got to do is kick a field goal.
A shot toward the end zone. If he runs this back, this game's over. Got some room to run. And the takeaway is the exclamation point, the game saver for the win. And man, just a soul-crushing turnover by this offense here in overtime.
It's so tough throwing the ball down in this area of the field, right? The windows are so much smaller, and they open and they close so much quicker. You've got to be so precise with timing and accuracy if you're the quarterback. And that time, it came back to bite him. Just didn't execute well enough.
Defense has its back against the wall as they try to extend this game and force another overtime. Looks as if he's going to run it. And maybe he'll get back to the line of scrimmage, but no more than that.
And man, it's nice to have a guy that is just better than your guys. And no matter what play you call, man, how about him getting in the backfield quick, penetrating, using his quickness, and using his strength to get him to the ground. That is a baller.
Miller with the ball. And there was nowhere to go, just stopped in his tracks in the backfield.
How frustrating is that? You're that running back. Where were you supposed to go? There was absolutely no lane for him on that play.
So here we go, a long field goal attempt to win it. Defense will call a timeout. They got a peek at the formation, want to make sure they're in the right call on this big down here in overtime. And they'll try to win it with a long field goal right here. It's a fake. He's looking to pass. Nowhere to go, and the ball is loose.
And a lot of times you see something you want to take advantage of, but the defense did an unbelievable job. Almost like they were playing for the fake, sat on it, read it beautifully, and forced the turnover on downs.
They'll try to walk it off with a long field goal here in overtime. And he drops the curtain. Lights out. Game-winning field goal in overtime.
How about it? 50-plus, no problem. Big leg, nice accuracy. That's a big-time kick for this young man.
What a battle this game was. Went right down to the end. Number one team in the land gets knocked off. But sometimes this gives you a chance to recalibrate some things, guys.
Yeah, and they're going to have to go back and watch this film and face some tough truths as well, because we know they've got a ton of talent. And this is a team that when they're playing their A game, they look like the best team in the country, David. Consistency, though, is going to be a big thing for them moving ahead.
Yeah, so you got to use this. You got to look at what you did wrong. You got to say, okay, maybe we're not as good as we thought we were. Just because we were number one, that doesn't mean anything until the end of the season. And you're the last guy standing, and you have the trophy. So take this loss, work on some of those things you think you need to work on so it doesn't happen again.
Thanks so much for spending some time with us. For David Pollack and Jesse Palmer, I'm Reese Davis, and this has been another presentation of EA Sports College Football.